6:03 on Wednesday, March 26th. 45 degrees now, a windy day, a mix of sun and clouds. Look for highs around 60, but it could feel cooler. Good morning, I'm Michelle Basch.
I'm John Aaron. The top local story we're following this year. It has been 1 year since the container ship the Dolly brought down the Key Bridge, killing 6 construction workers in Baltimore. All this week, WTOP will revisit the scene of the tragic collapse, talk to communities impacted, and look at designs for a new bridge. Also at steps being taken to try to prevent this from happening again. Today, our Luke Lukert is back at the scene of the collapse. He was one of our first reporters on the scene that day, and he joins us live now. Luke.
John and Michelle, in just a few short hours, we're going to see the governor and other Maryland leaders commemorate the collapse here at the site. We're learning that the families of the victims held their own ceremony with Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott laying wreaths on the Patapsco River yesterday. We now take a look back at that day 1 year ago through WTOP's team coverage. Dolly, a massive container ship, hit the Key Bridge support column before 2 a.m. that morning.
Authorities indicate the container ship lost propulsion as it was leaving the port of Baltimore, and the ship's crew warned Maryland transportation officials of a possible collision.
After it hit, a chain reaction sent the entire bridge into the river. Confusion around the city set in about how the major interstate bridge could be brought down. Some feared nefarious intent. Governor Wes Moore that day
points to an accident. We haven't seen any credible evidence of a terrorist attack.
8 men were on the bridge when it went down. 2 were quickly found.
Just heard from the NTSB. They say they are leading the investigation, but allowing the Coast Guard at this time to continue their search and rescue efforts.
Those rescue efforts turned into recovery efforts, and it took over a month to find the remains of all 6 men.
Chance to spend time with the victims' families, and they're distraught and they're heartbroken.
We are still getting updates on this crash. Just last week, the NTSB released findings that said the Maryland Transportation Authority never conducted an assessment on the Key Bridge that would have shown it would have collapsed if struck by a shipping container ship. Reporting live in Dundalk, Luke Lukert, WTOP News.
Thank you, Luke. And today, of course, the Port of Baltimore is open again with cargo moving in and out. But disruptions to everyday life are having long-term effects. WTOP's John Doman looks at that.
This is North Point Boulevard here in eastern Baltimore County. It runs fairly parallel to the Baltimore Beltway, taking trucks and traffic to the warehouses and shipyards the Beltway passes by. With no Key Bridge, it's the only way in and out of Sparrows Point.
I don't think any of us realize the impact that it would have on us, that we have to readjust everything.
Brenda Ryan lives here in Edgemere, where the change in daily routine has been very noticeable.
What used to take about a 30-40-minute ride is now an hour and 15 minutes to get there, and almost double that at times to get back because of the congestion and the way things are rolling.
It means spending more on gas. But what she and her husband Richard kept reiterating to me more than that wasn't the money spent on fuel, it was the time wasted in traffic.
You know, that extra time you're sitting in the car, the extra cost, time away from the family, you know, that's probably a bigger cost.
Nobody wants to spend 45 minutes, an hour in a vehicle just to get from point A to point B.
In Edgemere, Maryland, John Doman, WTOP News.
And still ahead here on WTOP, a local company signs a long-term deal with the NFL.